I will say this, like ball security is not just an individual statistic, and and we don't go around placing blame, but it's all 11 guys protecting the guy with the ball, and obviously the guy that has the ball, has all of our fortune in his hands. So, we got to do a good job of protecting the runners, protecting the quarterback, and then the guys that have it have to do a good job of making good decisions and covering it up when there's any kind of issue or traffic. And again, it's a hard lesson. You don't like to learn them this way, but it can be of value if we will learn it and do it better going forward.
Foxborough Rush coming your way on a Friday afternoon. Annabelle Hasselbeck, Jade McCarthy here with you. Strike up the band, honestly, AB, because that was the music coming from every single instrument, from the conductor, the orchestra, however you want to put it. This ball security issue being a collective team issue was the music played on repeat all week coming out of Foxborough.
And Jade, everyone else in the NFL knows that's what's going on in the Patriots facility. It was the talk of the town coming out of last week. They know that this is a huge problem for the Patriots. And I think the reason, too, why it has to be on all those 10 other guys is because you can't have a side conversation, a one-on-one conversation with the, 3 people that turn the ball over. It's got to be, hey, this is a full team thing, because we don't want one other person who wasn't in that group of 3 doing this next week in week 4.
Yeah, no. There just can be none of it. And I was sitting there going, are we practicing with slicked up footballs this week? Like, what are we doing? Because clearly there was an emphasis on ball security, and there needed to be an emphasis on ball security. I was sitting there listening to Sirius XM radio, right? And I work there on the weekends as well. And I'm listening to Bob Papa be like, oh yeah, the Patriots just fumbled again. I mean, the reality is like, this was, you can't have 5 turnovers in a game and expect that it is not all of a sudden a national talking point. That's just the reality of what it has been. And I would also say that Josh McDaniels is 100% right in that this is a really hard way to learn a lesson, but perhaps you actually learn the lesson and the team is able to move forward in a positive way. And that has to be the mentality, right? Because the way the Patriots are going to learn this lesson is not to hang their heads and dwell on it. It's to say, okay, we got to make sure we fix this. We're going to take ownership of it. We're going to do it collectively as a group. And we're going to go out there and we're going to play sound, turnover-free football against the Carolina Panthers.
Definitely. The Patriots need to make last week's turnovers kind of look like a fluke. They need to make it look like it was abnormal. And that's not something that is in their DNA. It's not what we were told was in their DNA and their identity and the fundamentals that this team was going to be built on. But like you said, a change needs to happen. So it's going to be really interesting to see what adjustments the Patriots make. We weren't at practice. We couldn't see if they were slicking up the balls or if everybody had to walk around with 2 hands on the football at all time. Like, we weren't there. So we don't actually know the exact tangibles of what they might have changed at practice. You know that it was heavily a conversation to everyone, not just the people who turn the ball over. But it's going to be really interesting to see what adjustments they make in week 4.
Yeah, no, hands down. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see, how they utilize the running backs, who's getting how many snaps. All those things are clearly going to be worth tracking come 1:00, Sunday afternoon in Foxborough, as the Patriots look to win their first game at home of the season. And of course, under Mike Vrabel as their head coach. I think coupled with what Josh McDaniels was talking about in terms of this is a difficult way to learn a lesson is also something that Steph Diggs talked about this week. And that's the idea of it's not just learning to win football games, it's also learning how not to lose football games. Let's hear more from Diggs.
Learn not to lose by experience, sadly enough. going in at the right direction and trying to win. You got to learn how to win. You know what I'm saying? And being a winner consistently, you can do everything right during the week. You know what I'm saying? It just gives you an opportunity or put you in a position to win the game, but you still got to not lose it. That's why executing at a high level, fundamentals, technique, just the stuff that they coach and they preach each and every day and throughout the week, it got to translate. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, where you fall short is when you lack experience. But I feel like you got to take these L's with a lesson. You know what I'm saying? We were in all of them. We were competitive. We were right there. So we could easily be sitting at 3-0, but we're 1-2, and we got a lot to look forward to.
He's right. I mean, that game, you know, I said it the other day, the most maddening part about the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers was that they had turned the ball over 4 times. They had turned the ball over 5 times. They still had a chance to win the game. And you're sitting there going, seriously? I don't know if I'm more aggravated about the turnovers or the fact that they could go win this and they didn't, right? I mean, that doesn't say a lot for what the Pittsburgh Steelers are putting on the field, and we'll see, you know, what that looks like for them across the pond in the NFL's first ever game in Ireland come Sunday morning local time. But you do have to stack up those lessons. And I say this all the time, AB, I kind of feel like a broken record, right? But this is a team and this is a franchise looking to build a foundation. And part of that foundation is learning to go out there and play solid, disciplined football for a full 60 minutes. And we have yet to see that. We've seen the offense obviously look good against Miami. We've seen the defense look good much of the week, you know, against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they have yet to collectively as an entire team put together a strong 60 minutes of football. That's what I want to see against the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, and Jade, I think Diggs maybe said the word experience like 3 or 4 times in that just that clip, and you can tell that is really what he keeps coming back to, and it's the difference in those game tying moments or those last second 4th downs or just being in the red zone and needing to get points out of it. That a team like the Chiefs, they have that experience in those game winning moments with that group that has been, you know, meshed together. They've been working together for years, same guys, right? And so I think that's what Diggs is alluding to. He's like, hey, we need to do what we're doing in practice, but it needs to actually come out in a game. And we just don't have that many game time experiences repped out yet. So you can really tell that he is using his veteran leadership and his maturity and what he's gone through to probably help this team process, hey, like, you know, what are the reasons why we weren't able to convert there? But really his focus seems to be just on this team continuing to mesh as a group.
Yeah, which is significant. I mean, that's what they have to do. And he's not wrong when he says that they had a chance to be 3-0. You know, I think, you know, the game against the Raiders, that probably could have gone either way. But this game against the Pittsburgh Steelers a week ago, this was the Patriots for the taking if they could have just taken care of the football. So you want to see them be able to build off of it in a positive way and it be a learning lesson and something that they can look back and say, you know what? It's really tough that we lost that game because that was really on us. We didn't get beat. We beat ourselves. But if you can use that as a jumping off point to a positive, you know, moving forward for this team, then all of a sudden you're in a different space than if it's one of those things that winds up bringing the team down. And that's so much of it because throughout the course of a season, there's always going to be adversity. Every single team is going to face it. It's a matter of what do you do with it when you do face that adversity. Josh McDaniels talked a little bit about Ramondre Stevenson and how he wants to see him handle this as part of course, a collective team. Let's listen to more from the OC.
I've always had a lot of confidence in Ramondre. You know, I was here when we had the opportunity to draft him, and I think Ramondre cares a lot about doing the right things. So, you know, I have confidence in all our players. I really do, because I see what they do to prepare and try to work hard to help us win. So, you know, that hasn't changed, and you know, we'll continue to coach and do our job, you know, which is to try to focus on improving some of the things that we don't do, you know, as well as we would like. See if we can't make those a strength.
So the reality becomes, for Ramondre Stevenson, he's got to go out there and have a game like the one he did against Miami, right? You got to go out there and on the field in a game situation, you have to find a way to take care of the football, to make some plays that are positive gains for this Patriots offense, and build upon a Sunday that, like you said, this team really needs to show was a fluke as opposed to a way of operating on a game by game basis.
Yeah, and luckily for Ramondre and Gibson too, like they did show spurts of greatness in week 2 and in Miami. And so I think that's what the Patriots are able to lean on when they say, hey, we need these guys. Like, week 1, it was somebody else. Week 2 was somebody else. We had Hunter Henry step up. We had Ramondre step up. Like they know the value that these guys bring. And specifically for Ramondre too, like his ability to block, right? And so I think a change will definitely be made. Earlier this week, you saw clips of Travion Henderson leading the running back lines. And yes, that's not the end all be all guy who starts the drill, but it's a little something, right? You can kind of read between the lines that there is a little shift going on in this unspoken rule of who's going to lead the way for a drill, right? That's a rookie. And so I think it'll be really interesting to see how the Patriots internally handle this, but it is very clear that they are in no way separating themselves from any players that really turn the ball over and really do have faith in the broader picture of what Ramondre brings to this team.
Yeah, no, and I think, we heard it time and time again, we need him. That was the message coming from, Patriots coaches when it comes to Ramondre Stevenson. We need him. We believe in him. And then we'll see what it all is going to look like for this offense really to get going. They need all those guys. I mean, that is just like the honest to goodness truth because they bring different skills, right? I mean, Travion Henderson is not the exact kind of back that Ramondre Stevenson is. So if you really want to find ways to utilize both of their skills and have them benefit this offense, you're going to give them each the ball in different situations. Again, I think it's going to be very interesting to watch what the snap counts look like and how that backs up what the message has been coming out of Foxborough over the course of the week. Look, the other, of course, question mark is, how do we see the receivers continue to develop over the course of games? And there's been a lot of talk about, Steph Diggs, and are we going to get the ball in his hands more? And are we going to see his numbers maybe back up some of the difference that he's made on the field? Because some of the things that he's already doing out there are not things that show up in the statistical categories that are most applicable to wide receivers, but he is still having an impact. But will we see those statistics start to tick up in terms of Steph Diggs' involvement with this offense? He talked about that this week, as did the quarterback, Drake Maye.
We try to put him in circumstances where he's, getting the ball and an option to get the ball on big plays. Had a big third down catch. The first third down we had, I probably should have thrown it to him. Little things like that. We had a fourth down against Miami. He's making plays, so he's in positions on key downs to make plays. And I'm got full trust in him, and he just keeps showing it every week. And I need to try to give him the ball more. I told him that today.
The ball's getting spread around. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of look at it as far as like the numbers. We got players, we got playmakers, we got guys that can play at a very high level. So I try not to give it too much. Like you want to give guys some grace. You know what I'm saying? We still some young guys, still a young team. So. Growing pains, you know what I'm saying? Things going to happen out there. You know what I'm saying? You got to kind of just roll with the punches. Like I've seen it for a long time. It's still early. You know what I'm saying? You can look at the top guys in the league right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure they're trying to get the ball just as much as everybody else. So it's just you gotta roll with the punches. I think we'll just be just fine. We got guys that can play at a high level. So you know what I'm saying? Just take what come with it.
Take it as it comes, roll with it, give guys some grace. I think, look, Steph Diggs is saying all the things that you want to hear him say, AB.
Yeah, and I think he said later on too, in that interview, like, I'm still going to eat what's on my plate, which was what he was saying in the preseason, in training camp, when people were asking him, hey, like, you're not taking over the game. You're not getting a crazy amount of catches. And that's what we haven't seen, right? You haven't seen Diggs take over a game yet, but he is coming off a major injury. The Patriots have been very conservative, ramped it up, but you can hear Drake Maye say, like, I got to hit him more. I told him that today, right? You know that he's going to be looking for him and that he can count on him in those, game time circumstances. But this is a spread it around offense. I think it's what's going to help make the Patriots more dangerous down the line, because you're not seeing Diggs take over the game. But I would very much so anticipate him to step up in big ways as the season progresses.
Yeah, no, I think that has to be something that the Patriots are building towards. And then all of a sudden, if you have a game where he can take over, you have a game where, Hunter Henry obviously had a standout game last week against Pittsburgh. The week before it was Mondre Stevenson against Miami. So it's a matter of week to week. And we've seen Josh McDaniels do that for years, right? Look at the defense that he's going up against and figure out, okay, this is the best way. These are the best players that we need to tap into to figure out, how do we find our way into a win this week? And you look at this Carolina team, and we'll take a closer look at as we continue here on Foxborough Rush after we take a break. But you look at a Carolina team, and the reality is yes, they shut out an opponent last week, but we've also seen them be able to be scored upon. And the Patriots should be able to go out there and need to be able to go out there and get off to a fast start once again, and move the ball against this team, and do so in a way that the drives end with points. And once you're in the red zone, you convert in the red zone. I don't know a nicer way to say that one.
No, I didn't know what you were going to say, because like you hesitated right before points, and I was like, yeah, duh, obviously, like that would make total sense, Jade. Like I love it, but I was like, what? Oh yeah, you're right. We didn't do that. Like we didn't do that, especially in the red zone. And I think something to the point back to Diggs, just with his production and probably even fans and even some outside in the league, people aren't talking about him. People are saying, why hasn't the Patriots surrounded Drake Maye with more weapons? And in my head, I'm hearing that. I'm going, what do you mean? We went out and got Steph Diggs. But like, I kind of understand where they're coming from. You haven't seen him take over the game. I think there's two really good things about that. One, you're not seeing an explosion from our wide receiver room of selfishness, right? You're seeing guys who are being humble, being willing to do whatever they're asked to do, eat what's on their plate, step up in the game that they're being called to step up for. And then also, you're not seeing Drake Maye force it to Stephon Diggs, right? There's going to be times in the game when you need to target him. But kind of what Josh McDaniels has said earlier in the week, like, I want Drake to be making the right throws. And I think that's what he's doing by not showing, hey, I got to get it to this guy, regardless of whether or not he's winning his matchup or not.
Yeah, no, I think that's huge too, because we've all seen, different games, different teams around the league, and, that force to the first guy. And when it's not there, it ends up in a negative yardage play or a turnover, worst case scenario. So it's one of those things that clearly Drake and Steph are working to develop their relationship and, build upon the trust that they already have. And I think that they'll continue to do that as the games progress here. But not forcing it is hugely significant. And I still think that, we've seen it. I mean, Hunter Henry is like a security blanket for Drake Maye. There's just a certain sense of comfort there. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, you want to be able to develop that comfort with multiple people, multiple receivers, targets, weapons, whatever you want to call them, on this offense. Let's go to the other side of the ball and talk a little bit about Christian Gonzalez. Obviously, there seemed to be a very slim chance that he was going to be out there last Sunday. Things are looking much clearer, if you will, for him to make his debut this Sunday. The quarterback coach, Justin Hamilton, talked a little bit about what he's seen from Christian Gonzalez this week as he has worked his way in a more significant way back into the Patriots practice activities and such.
It was good to see him back out there last week. Just had been so long since he's been out to get back in the flow of things, get some work. he's been this week going and doing what he's supposed to do in the training room. And, just in talking to him, he sounds like he's starting to feel like he's close to his old self. So hopefully we can get him back to that. But it's the balance of obviously wanting back out there, but trying to do what's best for him and the longevity of this season and for his career.
He's officially listed as questionable going into the Sunday game against the Carolina Panthers. Mike Vrabel announcing that not too long ago at Foxborough. So, look, this is clearly a significant one to watch. And Carolina's receivers are banged up. A number of them, it's question marks as to if they're going to be able to be out there for this game. But regardless of who is on the field, this is a Patriots secondary that is much stronger with the addition of Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah, Jade. And I think it's also interesting just the mention of like Gonzalez's longevity as a player and health for his future, right? Not just with the team. So you have to consider that, I think, as well, with kind of why this is probably taking so long. You know that he wants to get out there. You know that he wants to help his team. But really, this is, the best player on the New England Patriots, right? This is like their star lockdown corner, and they're going to want him for years to come. So they're not willing to risk that, and they're going to want to be conservative. But even just knowing kind of how last week went, that was probably the closest we thought we were to seeing Christian Gonzalez out there. And Vrabel was the one who said, hey, you know what? Like, I'm the one who made the decision to, give him more time next week. So I really do think that we should expect to see him. How much, I'm not sure, but it is a huge plus that Carolina has some wide receivers that are banged up right now.
Yeah. Xavier Legette's dealing with a hamstring injury. Tetairoa McMillan has had a calf injury. He did get back out at practice yesterday, but Legette has not gotten out to practice. I haven't seen the news out of Carolina and their update on Friday's practice, which is in all likelihood happening as we sit here and speak. So all that, bears watching to see who Bryce Young is going to be able to, to find, to create some offense for this Carolina Panther team that, like I said, put up a shutout last weekend. And we've talked about this, like that is a rarity. Very rarely do you see a goose egg in a final score in the NFL.
It is rare. I think there were only maybe 2 times last season. I have to check that there was a shutout. I know there was one in the preseason, but it is hard to not score any points in the National Football League. Like, yeah, it's hard to win, but it's hard to not score any points. So you have to really wonder, like, yes, it's awesome for Carolina. I'm really wondering what's going on in Atlanta right now. What's going on in that practice facility? How are those guys doing? And really, like, what changes are going to be made? Because losing by that margin and not being able to do anything on offense or make adjustments, that's the biggest concern for me.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of head scratching this week, Atlanta parting ways with their wide receivers coach. It didn't really look to be a wide receiver issue last week. There's obviously a lot of growing pains with the young quarterback and Michael Penix Jr. And, you have Kirk Cousins as the back. There's just a lot sort of floating around when it comes to what is going on with the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, they didn't even get into the red zone last weekend against the Carolina Panthers.
That is wild to me. I mean, listen, you can either get into the red zone and not score, or you can not get into the red zone and not score. So Patriots, choose your character, whichever one you want to do, like you got either way. It's both, they're not great.
Yeah. Let's just hope that there's none of that repeated, right? We want to see the Patriots get into the red zone, and we want to see them punch it into the end zone. That is certainly the hope against this Carolina defense this week. All right, some other news coming out of Foxborough. We'll touch upon that as we continue right here on Foxborough Rush, getting you set for Sunday's tilt against the Carolina Panthers. Stick around, more straight ahead.
Do you have any background with Mike Vrabel, and is there anything you see on Patriots tape that is reflective of his personality?
Really just watching his teams, in Tennessee over the years, and then, as a coordinator in Houston. And I think the signature is they don't do a lot. What they do really well. And that's what he's looking for. And it goes to the same thing. If he can get his guys in position where they know what to do, then they can fly around and play physical and make plays. And that certainly is happening. What I see on film, that is happening for that group on both sides, where they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They have some wrinkles, but it's pretty good, just clean football and guys playing hard.
Will the playing hard translate into playing good, sound football? I think that is certainly the question that everybody in New England is asking about this Patriots team going into this matchup against the Carolina Panthers. They are going to have to deal with a bit of a hiccup on the offensive line because their left guard, their rookie Jared Wilson, is going to be out for this game. That, it's a young line to begin with, AB. So this, we all know, like, you take one piece out of the puzzle out and how is it going to look and how are they all going to fit together with a new piece being inserted? It would seem that it'll be Ben Brown who gets the start at left guard. He's been out there working with the rookie and Will Campbell at practices throughout the week. But we all know that this all starts up front, and the Patriots are going to have to deal with a little bit more adversity up front with a change there, because of the injury to Wilson here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this offensive line handles this, right? Because you're never going to go through a perfect season when you have your whole offensive line healthy, right? So it'll be a great chance for the Patriots to say and to really evaluate, hey, who do we want where, when shifts need to be happened? And it'll be interesting to see how Ben Brown does. It's good that he was able to get those reps earlier in the week next to Will Campbell. I know he played center last year, so it'll be interesting just to see him adjust. But also, you could probably shift him around and use him in various roles. So I think it'll be good for the Patriots because they're going up against a Carolina defense that really only has one sack on the offense, but they have been able to put a lot of pressure on their opposing quarterback. So great test for the Patriots O-line, not only in the game plan, but just for down the line and future of how they're going to handle future injuries that come up.
Yeah. Josh McDaniels talked this week about that Carolina defense and Derek Brown. Let's take a listen to McDaniels once again.
This is a really talented player, and they have multiple guys at different levels that create some issues here. Derek's a very rugged guy up front, powerful, strong, explosive, can be disruptive in the running game, can be disruptive in pass protection. We'll see him on both sides of the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball, so it's not just one person that's going to see him. They're going to move him in terms of where his alignment is, so that's a challenge. But I have a great deal of respect for Ejiro. I've coached against him before. He does a great job of trying to put his players in the right positions so that they can make plays. Merrick, the safety, certainly a new addition to their team, but extremely disruptive all over the field. Blitzer, coverage, down most of the time in the front, but very active guy. Their corners are good, and present different challenges to us. So, and then last week they blitzed a lot and created a lot of turnovers and takeaways. So this is a group that we're certainly getting, familiar with as we go through the week, but expect a huge challenge from them. I know they're well coached and they got good players. It's a rather young group, in terms of some of the teams we've played so far. So a lot of, youth and talent on the defense. And I think our guys are hard at work getting familiar with these guys, but big challenge for us on Sunday.
I think one of the things that you have to respect, beyond what Josh McDaniels was talking about, what Derek Brown does on the field for this Panthers team is really just the humility with which he approaches what comes after it. He was like, look, we might have won this game 30-0, but it's fool's gold to think that actually holds any weight. Because if you go out there next week and you don't show up and show out again, guess what? You're not going anywhere. There's nothing after winning one game in this season, unless that one game is in February and it ends, hoisting a Lombardi trophy. So just his approach to really, I think, speaking to his teammates in saying hey, don't hang your hat on the fact that we just shut out the Atlanta Falcons. We got a game this week against the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because it could be very easy to get really high on yourself and high on yourself as a defense for getting a shutout. Those don't happen in the NFL, and you can kind of almost forget if you're not careful weeks 1 and weeks 2, right? That is a huge factor, and you can see the defensive leader on this team really putting a stake in the ground and saying, you're right. Like one win doesn't do anything for you unless you stack wins in the NFL. And so I think too, what Josh McDaniels had said just about his versatility, like they're going to be moving him around, and it's something that the entire offense has to prepare for. That's going to present a challenge when you talk about having a different puzzle piece in your offensive line.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's definitely challenges that this Carolina defense are going to present, with their leader, of course, encouraging the team around him, which is really what, he has done as the centerpiece of that defense, since signing that deal with the Carolina Panthers. So I would expect more of that, and look, they're going to make life a little bit difficult for an offensive line that has a different piece inserted into it because of injury. And we know that it all sort of starts from there. And I would say this again, and I feel like a broken record, AB. I got to be honest here. I say it every week now, but I do think that the way the Patriots start this game, the way their offense comes out, are they able to, just get on it and immediately start moving the ball down the field like we saw, down in Miami, right? Like a place that we talk so much about is difficult for the Patriots to play historically, but that is the best we have seen them play in terms of consistently moving the ball down the field, using a variety of weapons available to Drake Maye, albeit through the pass game and the run game. Can we see them get out to that type of start in Foxborough this weekend? I think that is hugely significant and indicative of the way this game could go.
I think that's a great point because there's evidence that backs that up, right? You talked about in week 2, you saw what they were able to do offensively and the momentum and confidence that they gave them as a team, spreading it around too. It's not like they went to Stephon Diggs every single play, right? Like it was all those guys on offense in the run and in the passing game. And so then you contrast that with what you saw in week 3, and it was just a different offense, right? And I think that the hot start is especially important against a defense that is coming off of multiple quarters of shutting the opponent out and not letting them score. So you can't let that hot streak and that momentum continue from last week into this week. Yes. Are they humble and they're saying, the past is in the past, we're moving on, we got to continue this? Yes. But they're also, that confidence still lives in you as an athlete and as a unit, as their defensive unit. They're definitely going to be leaning on that and tapping into it come the first snap in the first drive of this game.
Yeah, I think another note that's interesting to me, and everybody is sort of wondering who Bryce Young is at this point in his career. He obviously finished last season strong, then has had some hiccups, on the road this season. The Panthers obviously got their offense going, and he played pretty well in that game against the Atlanta Falcons, obviously put up 30 points in the win, but he has really struggled on the road. I mean, he has one road win in 15 starts on the road as the Carolina Panthers quarterback. That is certainly not a statistic that he likes being associated with. But I am super curious to see what this offense is going to look like. And obviously some of it hinges on who he has around him. And that is very much in question at this point in time, as I mentioned, right? Like their wide receivers, Xavier Legette is dealing with a hamstring injury, hasn't been practicing. Tetairoa, McMillan, who has been really fun to watch in the early going of the season, just as someone who loves football. He's dealing with a calf injury. Is he going to be out there? But I would argue that the Patriots defense can get off to, if they can get off to a really strong start against this Carolina offense, that is really significant as well.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting, Jade, because when you said the stat about Bryce Young only having one road win as a starter, when I initially heard that, I think earlier in the week, I did not believe it. There's no way. That's great. That's wild, but it's the truth. And then you kind of flip it and you look at the Patriots situation. they need to win at home. Like, they have struggled to win at home. So you have this really interesting and kind of funny situation here where you have a team and a quarterback that needs to win on the road. And you have the Patriots here who really need to get a win at Gillette. And like you said, it'll be interesting to see how Bryce Young does with a passing game that could have taken a hit, right? You're going to have to lean more heavily on the run potentially this game. And so it'll be interesting to see how much they lean on Bryce Young as a runner as well in this game, and how the Patriots defense will contain him.
Yeah, for sure. Tetairoa McMillan, for his part, has said he plans to be out there. I still think it's one that you just got to watch. It's calf injury, and for his sake, certainly hope he's back out there. Like I said, he was able to participate in practice yesterday, so that is usually a pretty good indicator of where things are headed. But I'm sure that Bryce hopes that he has the rookie out there as well. I want to pivot a little bit. We all know, of course, that the Patriots have been operating in a little bit of uncertainty when it comes to their defensive coordinator in Terrell Williams, who has been dealing with some unexpected health issues. Mike Vrabel addressed that in front of the media not too long ago in Foxborough. We'll leave it to the head coach here.
The other thing is this week is crucial catch, and I unfortunately have to tell you that Terrell Williams was determined to have prostate cancer and is in the process of treatment and meeting with specialists and figuring out the best plan of attack to be able to attack this and heal it and fix it and allow him to get back to better health. And so, you know how much Terrell means to me personally and to the people on this football team. So again, we want to send our regards and just publicly let everybody know that's what he's dealing with. When he's ready to talk, he'll talk on his behalf, but I wanted to let you know that's what was going on. So we'll continue as we have been with Zach, Core calling the defenses, but like that went well. I think the communication through the week, the organization hasn't missed a beat whatsoever. So I think those guys are doing a great job over there. And Vinny DePalma is helping as he progresses to working with the linebackers, and he was doing that role anyway. So again, really comfortable with where we're at and how we're operating. But our just our thoughts and prayers, and T knows all this. I mean, we talk all the time, but just that are with him, his family been through a lot, and we care about him.
It's the real life side, of football and what we all deal with, AB, at different points in our lives. And obviously, hearing the diagnosis for Terrell Williams is something that none of us want to hear. And our prayers are with him and his family, just for strength and encouragement as he has to handle this battle against cancer and as they go through it together. But I think that you feel that, right? Like, you hear that in the way in which Mike Vrabel speaks of, not just someone he coaches alongside with, but a friend. I mean, you spend this kind of time with people, and they become part of your family.
Yeah, Vrabel brought him here for a reason, right? Not just because he thought he was an incredible coach and wanted to give him that opportunity, because they have a real relationship. And that's hard, right? And your thoughts and true prayers are with Terrell Williams and his family during that hard time. And you really hope that the Patriots team, and not just the Patriots team, but the Patriots organization is an incredible organization. And it'll be really cool to see just how they support him and his family during this time. But yeah, I think when unfortunate things like this happen, it is sometimes cool to see how a team can rally behind someone and be the strength for them in some of their weakest moments probably in their life.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's powerful to know that you have an organization like that and people here in New England who are behind you and rooting for you and praying for you, in a very personal battle, obviously. But certainly there is power in all of that, I believe. So as we heard Vrabel say, Zach Core, the inside linebacker coach, is going to continue to call plays, from a football perspective here. And we heard everybody, on that side of the ball talk about the fact that this has been a collaborative venture from the very beginning. And that obviously eases things a little bit when you have unexpected circumstances and unfortunate circumstances like this one come out throughout the course of a season. We're going to take a quick break here on Foxborough Rush. We'll talk a little bit more about keys that we're watching for the Patriots against the Carolina Panthers come Sunday, and some of the other games that we're looking forward to this weekend as well. Stick around. We're back next. Welcome back into Foxborough Rush. Great to have you here with us as we break down the Patriots tilt against the Carolina Panthers. Of course, 1 o'clock kickoff at Gillette on Sunday afternoon. The Patriots, they sorely need a home win this season. There's something odd to me, AB, about the fact that their lone win on the season is in Miami. Like, it just sounds weird to say that.
Especially with the Patriots, right? Like, it is really weird to say that. It's pretty wild. But yeah, it is funny just to think about how the Patriots need the home win, and Bryce Young really needs this road win. It's two things that cannot exist at the same time. So we'll see which one is able to pull through.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And these are two teams that again, like, just need to go out there and play a sound game. We saw Carolina do it against the Atlanta Falcons, but we've also seen them struggle on the road this season. We saw the Patriots probably play their best game on the road in Miami. We'd like to see them put it together and play 60 minutes of sound, good football here at home. Let's go through 3 things that you're watching in this game, 3 keys to the game, if you will. Kick us off with number 1 here, AB.
Yeah, well, selfishly, I kind of hope McMillan plays because I do want to see him match up against our Patriots secondary. And specifically, man, how cool would it be to see Christian Gonzalez out there for the first time? So I would love to be able to have my eye on McMillan and Christian Gonzalez, if not Carlton Davis. He's stepped up as one of the top corners for this team. And, I think for me, it's the Patriots have given up a lot of big plays downfield. And this is an offense that isn't prolific. We're not talking about them as an offense that is royalty in this league, but you do have an incredibly talented wide receiver in McMillan. So I think I have my eye on that, and probably more selfishly to see both of those two guys out on the field at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very curious to see Tetairoa McMillan and what he looks like as he continues, in his 4th NFL game. Obviously, we've seen the success that he's been able to have. He has been dealing with a calf injury, but practice yesterday has said he plans to be out there. His speed, obviously, is so significant to this game. What a test. If it is Christian Gonzalez out there this weekend for him to get started against. I'm going to go on the other side of the ball, and I'm watching the running back room for the New England Patriots. I want to see what the snap count looks like. We've obviously heard the vote of confidence in Ramondre Stevenson coming off of his game. We heard Mike Vrabel say today, that the Patriots don't plan, to do anything, I guess, with Stevenson in terms of penalizing him because of the 2 lost fumbles last weekend against the Steelers. So what does the snap count look like? How much do they lean into the running game, which I really think we saw them do against Miami, and obviously to their whole entire offense's advantage? What does that room look like? That is probably the biggest thing that I'm going to be watching for when it comes to Sunday. Give us number 2 here.
Yeah, I had the exact same questions too about this running back room, and I'll go with something else. But I think mainly for me on the running back room, like how much will we see Travion Henderson? And Travion Henderson is a guy who looked amazing in the preseason, right? And so I think this is an incredible opportunity for him to really step up and make the play and be the guy in this game. But I think for me, another thing that I'm watching, I mean, you heard Vrabel talk about how he was spending 2 hours watching Carolina's kickoff and this like knuckle kickoff that they're doing. It's giving a lot of teams problems, not only to return it, but just to get any type of field position. And so I think, if they're doing it to other teams, what's going to stop them from doing it against the New England Patriots unless they're fully prepared for it and can execute against it? So I'm super interested to see what the special teams play is going to look like in this game.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And we have also seen special teams be a bit of a challenge, in the kicking game for the Patriots. So how does that look? I think that's worth keeping tabs on. I'm curious to see how Drake Maye starts this game. And I feel like I say this week in and week out, but I think with a younger quarterback and a new system, with a team that needs to get the ball going and rolling early and consistently down the field, that starts with Drake Maye. So how does he look in the early going of this game? Is he able to, consistently sort of get things rolling? There's obviously, a sub coming in on the offensive line, as we talked about, because Jared Wilson is out against the Carolina Panthers. So how does the line stack up in front of him? And we should also note that Carolina's starting edge rushers are both out in this game. So they'll have two rookies, starting Nick Scourton and, forgive me if I say this wrong, I'm going to try, Princely Omenmelian will be starting, on the edge for Carolina. So that's something that if you're the Patriots, you're like, okay, we have a young line, but we're going to look to try, to get our run game going early, open up, some different possibilities for Drake Maye and have him not be the leading rusher too for this team. I mean, it's great that he can, you can play action and he can use his feet, but you need to have a run game beyond your quarterback.
Yeah, no, that's funny, Jade. And kind of just going back to touch on a little bit about the rookie edge rushers, the Patriots haven't had Christian Gonzalez. But that also means other teams haven't seen Christian Gonzalez in Vrabel's defense yet. And on the same side, the Patriots offense haven't seen these new rookie edge rushers, right? They're going to be going back to watch their college film. So as much as those injuries can cause indecision and probably some chaos, they also create chaos in the fact that you have to prepare for people that you haven't seen yet. I think for me, another thing to watch is, you heard Josh McDaniels talk earlier this week about how it's a gift when your head coach is aggressive and gives you the opportunity to go for fourth downs throughout the game and be aggressive in the red zone. But what are you going to do with that opportunity? You have to convert in the red zone. You have to convert when the game is on the line in fourth down. And I think for me, I can hear that urgency out of Josh McDaniels saying, oh my gosh, my head coach is giving me this opportunity to go for it. And look what we're doing with it in the most pivotal moments, right? He was talking about it's those details. Can you perform your very best when it matters, right? Not in the first quarter, when it matters in the fourth quarter. And so I think for me, my thing that I'm going to be really watching is how do the Patriots execute when they're given that opportunity to be aggressive, win the game, or just convert on a fourth down.
Yeah, very true. Even watching Detroit the other night, right? And we all know that Dan Campbell loves to go for it on fourth down. And sometimes it's worked for him and other times it hasn't. But, watching him go for it and essentially ice the game, for the Lions in Baltimore when he went for it and it was 4th and 2 and they wound up converting a 15-yard play or whatever. But it's one of those things that when you take that chance, you've got to make the most of it. You've got to find a way to convert on it. So I agree with you, and Mike Vrabel has shown the propensity to go for it on those plays. So this is a team that needs to believe in themselves, that they're able to convert on it when those opportunities come their way. Similarly, I think, the third thing for me is just their red zone offense. Again, this is a Carolina team that didn't have the Falcons in the red zone for an entire 60 minutes last week. I want to see the Patriots get into the red zone, and I want to see them score each and every time they get there. Like, let's just get in the red zone and let's put some points on the board. Seriously. Like, go play sound football. Don't turn the football over. Take care of the ball and move it efficiently down the field. That is like the biggest thing for me. Can they go out there and play a sound 60 minutes of football?
Jade, I love what you said, because it's converting in those moments. But if you don't do it one week, you have to do it the next week, right? Like, you're never going to be perfect, but something has to change. And what you just said, it kind of threw me back at Boston College. They do this cheer. They go, BC, put some points on the board. So for all the Eagles that are listening to this, I just sang it for you. I'll never do that again. But that's what it is. Go Patriots, put some points on the board. Like, it's that exact town. You know, I don't have the best voice, but that's what it is. And that's what you're saying. Great. And so thank you. When you said that, I'm like, oh man, I heard that one before, but like, really, that's what it is. And kind of going back to what Diggs had said about meshing and having experience in those moments, it's like, okay, you had experience week 3 in that moment. Let's take it and see where we can progress as an offense.
Yeah, 100%, right? Like, lose and learn. Like, that just has to be the mentality for this team, really for any team. You've got to find a way to learn from the mistakes that you're making so you don't repeat the same mistakes again and again. And if you can do that, then you're progressing. And we've certainly heard, you know, the coaches stress that when it comes to their young quarterback and having him not be perfect, but being precise. And that's the same thing that we need to see collectively from this Patriots team. They don't need to be perfect out there, but they do need to put together 60 minutes of good, sound football. We'll take a look at some of the other matchups across the NFL on the other side right here on Foxborough Rush. All right, looking at the NFL slate Sunday afternoon, I'll give you a couple that jump out to me. Number 1, Philadelphia going down to Tampa Bay, obviously. A couple of unbeatens on the field against each other. That's one that I'm very excited to watch. How about the Ravens and the Chiefs? This is a huge game, especially given the fact that they're both 1-2. 1-2, like, that is not what we thought we were going to see there. And then, of course, Green Bay goes to the former home of Micah Parsons down in Dallas. Can you say, like, get ready for that one? Whew.
Jade, I feel like I've been ready for this one all summer when we were waiting to find out where Micah Parsons was going to go, right? And now we finally have where he is. And man, that moment, you absolutely know that he is going to be coming after Dak Prescott and the Cowboys offense. And so I am interested to see how Micah Parsons celebrates when he does get that first sack in that game.
Especially because, like, you know, they're friends too, right? And
oh yeah,
it's funny. My son said to me the other day, like, is he gonna, like, try not to take him down quite as hard because it's his buddy? And I was like, no. He'll make sure he hugs him after the game.
He's pretending that Dak is Jerry Jones for that game.
That's going to be a great one to watch, no doubt about it. I hope you enjoy all the football this weekend. Thanks for hanging with us here on Foxborough Rush. We'll see you on Monday. Take it easy.